Copy that. And a mic check. One more mic check. 10-9.
Mic check. Check, check, check.
Commemorating 70 years, this is News 13 at 6.
Well, we have updated information on the death toll in North Carolina. The Department of Health and Human Services just released a list of verified storm-related deaths. That number is 70 statewide. The Buncombe County Sheriff previously reported 72 in that county alone, but said yesterday that the number of deaths reported may fluctuate because of the difficulty identifying victims, and that he had asked for assistance for more of an accurate number. So according to the state, that number is now 30 in Buncombe County. DHHS reports 10 in Yancey County, 7 in Henderson, 4 in Madison, 3 in Rutherford, and 1 in Macon, McDowell, and Polk counties. Well, Vice President Kamala Harris came to North Carolina today for a briefing on recovery efforts after Helene. The vice president was greeted at the airport by Governor Roy Cooper and the FEMA administrator, and quickly headed into a briefing with emergency response officials about the recovery effort. She was also scheduled to meet with families. She says people working together will help get the crisis over sooner.
These moments of crisis bring out some of the best of who we can be and who we are. I've been seeing and hearing the stories from here in North Carolina about strangers who are helping each other out, giving people assistance in every way that they need, including shelter, food, and friendship and fellowship.
Harris's political opponent, former President Trump, returned to Butler, Pennsylvania for a rally today. We'll have more on both candidates' days tonight at 11. And the message from federal and local officials tonight is about misinformation circulating about the Helene response. In the Buncombe County briefing at 4, County Manager Avril Pender said they want to stop the spread of bad information. Pender said the federal and state and local governments, as well as other organizations, are working together to help our community, and no one is hindering relief efforts.
Rumors about FEMA turning away donations, stopping trucks or vehicles with donations, confiscating and seizing supplies often spread after disaster. These are all false. FEMA cannot seize your property or land. Applying for disaster assistance does not grant FEMA or the federal government authority or ownership of your property or land.
County Manager Pender also urges people to only share information from trusted sources, including the One Buncombe website. Just before we went to air, I had a chance to speak with Mike Caponari, a FEMA spokesperson on the ground here in Western North Carolina, about debunking some of the information we've been seeing online. Here's what he had to say.
Understanding that, of course, life safety is the #1 priority. When folks are safe and they're able to, we want to encourage them to register for assistance with FEMA. And that's either going to disasterassistance.gov, That's just one word, disasterassistance.gov, and understand that power is in and out, here and there. Can also call 800-621-3362. That's 800-621-3362. 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. We'll have disaster assistance specialists available to take calls. And what we have been seeing over the past couple of weeks, especially on social media, is a lot of incorrect information about our programs, and it is negatively impacting our ability to help disaster survivors. We want to encourage as many people as possible to register for assistance with FEMA. We can help with some, it's called SNA, it's a relatively new program, and it's called Serious Needs. And what we're doing is providing financial assistance for items like water, food, prescriptions, infant care. Also displacement assistance, so that's financial assistance that could go to folks that are having to stay with someone else, and there's additional cost associated with that. So we really want to encourage as many people as possible that were affected by this catastrophic storm to register for assistance with us. Again, that's 800-621-3362 or disasterassistance.gov.
Buncombe leaders also discussed FEMA resources and other issues in an earlier briefing. Stephanie Dupre has a breakdown.
When it comes to FEMA, county leaders say boots are on the ground. Over 3,000 FEMA employees are here.
We have 1,300 emergency responders on the ground right now from agencies across the country.
At first, the challenge was trying to find a big enough space to create a disaster recovery station. And they did at Pack Square Park and AB Tech Community College. You can show up there and fill out forms. Now, FEMA says it's working to help everyone who needs it, but resources are limited.
Our assistance to undocumented immigrants is limited. However, if a dependent in the household is a legal permanent resident or citizen, then the household may be eligible for assistance. And the way to determine that would be to register, and then we can work through those individual cases.
And for food, as of Friday, crews started visiting and checking restaurants that were given permission to open by the state. They're checking on healthy drinking water and more.
Other establishments, we are making those visits as quickly as we possibly can. We'll be working all throughout the weekend to get those visits made.
And if you have a well and water covered the top of it, you shouldn't drink it until it's tested. In Buncombe County, I'm Stephanie Dupre, News 13.
On Monday, Buncombe County residents can call 828-250-5016 for well testing. Again, that's 828-250-5016. Meantime, a top concern remains power outages. This is what it looks like right now from the Duke Energy outage map. Stephanie Dupre caught up with crews working around the clock to turn the power back on for people who are still in the dark.
It's been more than a week, many spending them in total darkness, no power or water. Early Saturday morning, we saw some of that darkness fade for some on Tunnel Road. This portion of Tunnel near East Village Grill had shining street lights, traffic lights, and other signs. A man walking by didn't want to go on camera, but said seeing something as simple as a lit up traffic light made him smile. His family still suffering, but said it creates hope. Crews could be seen around every corner working from pole to pole. While this portion of Tunnel Road is getting up and running, further down is still getting serious TLC. This is just a block or two down near Sanook Road. Not a soul in sight. Businesses destroyed. Cars and debris scattered everywhere. You could see crews working through all of it just to get to those power lines. Stay with us on air and online as we follow those outage updates. Reporting in Buncombe County, I'm Stephanie Dupre, News 13.
And you couldn't get out today without seeing power and tree crews. Many people spent the day clearing out the massive number of trees that came down during the storm. Temi Topa at Alei shows us how the sound of chainsaws can unite communities devastated by damage.
When you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot. And I don't want to be a banana.
83-year-old Asheville resident Chuck Chavaris is a busy bee.
One there and the other one there. And all of these fell over the road I cleaned all that up. I'll tell you what, I'm glad we had chainsaws.
He is among the hundreds of people across Western Carolina picking up the pieces from a devastating storm.
We're blessed, we're alive, my fingers work, and what the heck? Cut the wood up.
But before he can pick them up, he has to cut them. And he needs the right equipment to get the job done. That's where Oregon Tools comes in.
We volunteered to come here and do basic chainsaw maintenance, sharpening to help the people of the greater Asheville area and Western North Carolina sharpen chainsaws so they can cut themselves out.
For the past 4 days, their disaster relief volunteer group has been here at Grace Point Church on Woodlands Hill Road, using these grinder machines to restore chainsaws.
What it does, the wheel will reshape the cutter. So the cutter, when the cutters get worn, the chrome peels back and the cutters themselves get dull.
And a dull chainsaw isn't any good for cutting down trees like this. Oregon Tools has already repaired more than 200 chainsaws, giving out tools and more for free. Next Monday, they will be on Grovestone Road in Black Mountain doing the same.
If you show up here without your saw, just get an image of the tail of the bar right through here. That tells us everything that we need to know to make sure you're set up right.
They've helped first responders, linemen, tree services, and even homeowners like Shavaris.
You're likely grateful for Oregon Tools.
Oh yeah, oh gosh, they were amazing.
We're just here to help the people of Western North Carolina put their lives back together.
In Asheville, Temi Talk-Badalea, News 13.
Well, Swannanoa has been one of the hardest hit areas in Western North Carolina. Floodwaters that lifted trailers, dumpsters, and flooded homes. Now debris, furniture, personal belongings line the streets. Residents are still trying to salvage what they can. Resident John Azara says the rising water forced him and his family onto the roof, where they waited for hours to be rescued.
We were just kind of huddled behind that chimney there. It's just not the kind of thing we see in Asheville, you know. We've already been denied that coverage, and we're working with FEMA to, see whatever they're going to be able to do.
With thousands who are still without power, relief is coming in to help with food, water, and generators. Active duty troops are now on the ground to assist relief operations. And ABC's Good Morning America is in Western North Carolina for special coverage of the area. They're spotlighting communities impacted by Hurricane Helene and recovery efforts. Anchor Gio Benitez and the crew are focused on stories of survival and what people and organizations are doing in the aftermath. The Southeast Strong Help After Helene effort is also raising money for the region.
We saw the devastation at GMA. We realized, oh my gosh, we have to be on the ground and we have to be telling the nation how they can help. And so that's part of this whole Southeast Strong initiative that we've launched on GMA, is to let people know, hey, you can use these organizations.
GMA starts right after News 13 this morning from 6 to 8 a.m. And many have called the aftermath, damage, and impact of Helene the worst that any area has seen since Hurricane Katrina. One outside organization agreed and has now been serving thousands of meals for days to Western North Carolina residents. News 13's Ed Diorio has the story of how Mercy Chefs made their way to our area.
Hundreds of people helping to create thousands of meals that's going to all Western North Carolinians across our area who have been affected by Hurricane Helene, and they've been doing it for almost a week. I'm talking about the work of Mercy Chefs. It's a nonprofit organization that was born out of another natural disaster.
My husband is from Louisiana, and his family was all there, and we were watching Katrina unfold.
Anne LeBlanc and her husband, in the aftermath of Katrina, had an idea.
Through all of that, Mercy Chefs was born in 2006.
A nonprofit that has responded to disaster victims for 18 years. And now Western North Carolina fits that description.
It's a very true statement, having been there at Katrina, that this is the Katrina of the mountains.
So Mercy Chefs brought the kitchen sink and then some.
I think that this is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life, to be honest. It makes every 3 hours sleep worth it.
And it hasn't stopped since October 1st.
We're here in the dark, we come back in the dark, And it's all worth it when we see somebody open that box and a tear run down their eye.
Even though the chefs travel with the organization, even more help comes from volunteers.
We started with just 1 or 2, and now we're here at 80 a day. When you're seeing this and you're seeing the massive scale of this disaster, you're also seeing people in the middle of it all helping their neighbor.
All these hands helping to reach all of Western North Carolina.
We're serving in Marshall, we're serving in Bat Cave now, we're down in Hendersonville.
Serving not just food, but hope.
We really celebrate everything in our life, good and bad, over a meal. So what we do opens the door for people to see that tomorrow could be better.
A lot of these trucks behind me and around me have been delivering to all areas for 5 days now. But if you are in need of a hot meal, the campus and their location here is at the Imaging Center on the campus of Mission Hospital. And if you or someone you know is in need of their assistance in other parts of Western North Carolina, you can visit their website. We'll have a link to it on ours, WLOS.com. In Asheville, Ed Diorio, News 13.
Some other uplifting news, this one from Brother Wolf Animal Rescue. Volunteers with the group say a generous donor has promised to match all donations up to $500,000. These are photos they shared from this week after the storm. As of Friday morning, 100 animals were safely taken to partner shelters as far away as Massachusetts. They say amid the heartbreaking and grief, they've been picking up the pieces, and volunteers are taking turns holding each other up through moments of profound grief and sorrow. Well, our parent company is teaming up with the Salvation Army for Sinclair Cares Hurricane Helene relief. It will assist with relief efforts in Western North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Virginia, and Tennessee. So far, people have donated more than $200,000 on SinclairCares.com. Sinclair is adding $50,000 to that. To help, just go to SinclairCares.com or scan the QR code that you see there on your screen to make a donation. Well, 2 first responders from Buncombe County postponed their wedding because of Helene. Rhonda Gislahi and Eric Barnwell were supposed to be in Glacier National Park this week to tie the knot, but they put their plan on hold to help out during the disaster. They were able to have a small ceremony on the day they were supposed to be married. They're going to reschedule their trip and make it official.
And now, your News 13 Skywatch weather.
The number of reported landslides from Hurricane Helene continues to rise. Now over 300, in fact 339 total landslides around the region from Helene reported by the USGS, and you can see a large concentration of that in the French Broad River Valley. Fortunately for us, cleanup weather remaining pretty good, nice and dry. We were warm today. We'll be mild this evening as we drop from the 70s into the 60s, going down into the 50s overnight, about 58 degrees when we begin the second half of the weekend. And our radar and satellite is looking nice and clear right now, and we have fallen back into the 70s. We made it up to 83 for that high today. Dry high pressure is going to keep us mainly sunny and on the warm side for the remainder of the weekend. We do have a cool front that will be moving in though Monday, and that will bring some cooler air in for much of next week. In fact, we can see the high temperatures over the next several days taking quite a dip to well below average. So we're talking some comfortable afternoons are ahead with highs in the 70s. We are going to have some chilly mornings, however. We also have a new tropical storm. This is not expected to impact us in the mountains or the upstate. Unfortunately, though, for the folks in Florida, this is expected to become a major hurricane, Tropical Storm Milton, before it makes landfall somewhere around Tampa on Wednesday. Right now, Milton is moving slowly to the northeast with maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. off the coast of Mexico, not too far off the coast of Mexico, and we do see that projected path. We could get a few more clouds out of Milton. It could turn breezy as we go through the middle of the week and that storm passes south of here. But overall, over the next 5 days, it is looking rain-free on through Thursday. Here are your lows tonight, and it should be a nice mild night as we drop down into the mid to upper 50s around much of the region. About 56 for your low in Asheville overnight. Lower 60s as we head south into the upstate. And highs will be a little cooler tomorrow. Upper 70s in Asheville and some lower 80s in the foothills. Also lower 80s in our far western mountain counties, so still running warm right on through the weekend. That will be changing though as we go through the work week. And on Tuesday, with that cool front moving in, we start off the day in the 40s, the upper 40s, lower 70s on Tuesday. And then we have some even cooler mornings as we go on through the work week. Could go down to about 39 degrees on Friday, so getting chilly there, but bouncing back during the day nicely each day with highs in the upper 60s and lower 70s later in the week. And it looks like that dry weather is going to hold. Meanwhile, in the upstate, you are going from the lower 80s on Sunday and Monday into the lower 70s as we go throughout the week.
Thanks, Karen, and thank you for watching our digital edition of News 13. Join us for our on-air newscast at 10 on My 40 and on WLOS after college football tonight.